Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to give you guys a bunch of summer book recommendations because it is finally June and in less than 2 weeks, I officially get summer break from university. I'll be done with my exams and I'm so excited. So obviously to celebrate that, I want to give you guys a bunch of books that you can read this summer. I feel like summer and reading, they just go together so well because you're tanning, you're on vacation, like on a road trip or on a plane, or you're just like bored at home and what else to do, then read a bunch of books. And obviously we want to read books that make you feel like it's summer, or they're just fast-paced and easy and you can easily read it by the pool all day. So I have gathered over 20 different book recommendations, so I guess let's just get started. First off, I have Mr. Wrong Number by Lynn Painter. I read this on vacation a few years back and I really enjoyed it. I think it's such like a fun, easy romance to read. We follow Olivia and one day she gets a text message saying, "What are you wearing?" And it's a number that she doesn't recognize, but she just starts texting back and it's all fun and games and they don't know who each other are, which just means you can be more yourself because there's nothing to lose because the person behind the screen doesn't know who you are. But obviously the person turns out to be Colin, who is her brother's roommate, and she actually ends up living with them during this time. I think her apartment burned down, if I remember correctly. But obviously at some point they realize that the other person they're talking to is each other and romance starts going between them, and it's just like such a fun book and it's only 300 pages, easy to read on vacation. Like, it's just such perfect summer vibes. I really enjoyed both characters and I just had a great time. I feel like I rated it like a 4.5 or something. Like, it's really good. And it does have like a sequel called Love Wager. I didn't love that one as much, but that's also third person point of view, whereas this one is first person, and I just prefer first person, especially for a romance. This next one is very popular this summer, especially the prequel to it, which is One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune, and the one that's really popular is Every Summer After, because actually today, as I'm filming this, the show just came out called Every Summer After on Prime Video. I've watched the first 3 episodes. I'm so excited to watch more. The actor who plays Charlie is very, very attractive, and I'm hoping there's going to be a season 2 for this book specifically. Watching the show has made me want to reread the books so much because I read Every Summer After 4 years ago, and this one I read last year on vacation. I actually have it in a reading vlog because I did a vlog of every book I read while I was on vacation last year. So this was one of them, and just again a really, really fun summer romance. In this book we follow Alice, and she ends up going to the lake house that she went to when she was younger because her grandmother breaks her hip, and she ends up going to that lake with her to like get up her mood. And when she was younger, like 17 or so, she took this beautiful photo of 3 kids out on the lake, and one of them being Charlie, and also the 2 other characters from Every Summer After. And she decides that she wants to make a list of everything that she wished she would have done when she was 17 years old during a summer, but she was always too shy and nervous to do. So she wants to do it now, and I think she's like 30 years old. Charlie finds this list and he decides that he's gonna help her have like the most fun summer ever, acting like you're a teenager again. What more could we wish? Like, I'm only 23, but I still also wish I could be 16 or 17 years old again. So just like perfect vibes. Charlie is the blueprint. He is a perfect book boyfriend and everyone loves him, me included. And this book just is perfect. And like, imagine reading this like by the pool or at the beach. It's the perfect cover. Like, it's not cringy or anything. Carly Fortune honestly has really great covers in her books. The next book is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, which is, I believe, maybe her most popular book. Either that or Yours Truly. Such good books, but obviously this one had summer in the title, so I had to choose this one. Here we have 2 main characters. It is dual point of view between Justin and Emma. Both of them think that they have a curse on them, where every person that they date, the next person that person dates will be like their end game. Justin and Emma decide that if they date each other, maybe they'll cancel out the curse, and then the next person each of them dates will be their end game. But obviously the end game is each other. They are perfect for each other. But Emma has a lot of commitment issues, and she has like this job as a nurse, I believe, where she travels. Like, she goes like here, and then she's a nurse here for 3 months, and then she goes here. So it's just for the summer that she's in Minnesota where Justin is. Is she ready to finally get some commitment? Love this book. Honestly, I love Abby Jimenez's books because they're like great romances, but they also have so much more like depth to them than just like a whatever romance. Not that there's anything wrong with those. I love those as well, but I just love when books have a little more to it. Then we have The 7-Year Slip. I also read this one on vacation. I think I read it in the car, I believe like 2 years ago. I rated it 5 stars, and I also annotated it for one of my friends, and she also gave it 5 stars, and another one of my friends also rated it 5 stars. So definitely absolutely recommend it. It is like a magical realism in a way. We follow Clementine, and her aunt passes away, so she inherits her aunt's apartment, and the apartment is magical. At least that's what her aunt has always told her, but obviously Clementine doesn't believe her, but she should, because sometimes when you step into this apartment, the apartment can take you back 7 years in time or 7 years in the future. But one day Clementine comes home, she walks in, and she's so confused because everything in the apartment is back to how her aunt had it, and all of her own stuff is gone, and there's this guy in the kitchen, which is so fun and so exciting. But he only like really exists in the apartment, and for him out in the real world it's been 7 years since this has occurred, but for her, she's meeting him now. Like, this is happening to her now, and it's just like so interesting, and the quotes in this book are just so great, and I loved the writing, and I loved the characters and the romance, and just I thought it was so fun, and definitely like gives summer in the city. It takes place in New York, and just it's just such a fun book. Okay, if you're not a romance girly or guy, there could be boys here. I have My Friends by Frederick Bachman, and the reason why I chose this one specifically is because it takes place in the summer. Like the background story and like what the story is really about, because it does have multiple storylines in a way, but the, I want to say like main storyline that we're hearing about is these 4 kids during a summer when they're like 14 years old. So that's why I felt like it just fit perfectly. Like they do all the summer things and like sit at the pier and they go swimming and stuff like that. But it is literary fiction, and it does have much more like heavy topics. It talks a lot about grief, and it talks about friendship, and talks a lot about art. And we have this other storyline, which is Louisa, and she's obsessed with this one painting, and she ends up meeting the artist at an art exhibition, and the artist unfortunately passes away, but he ends up giving the painting, his painting, the one that she's obsessed with, to her in his will, and it's worth like millions, so she doesn't know what to do with it. So she ends up going with this guy Ted, who is the artist's best friend, and he's going back to his hometown, the town where that story of the 4 friends takes place, and where the painting originated from. And Louisa is 18 years old. She doesn't really know what to do with herself, so she ends up just following Ted, and he's kind of annoyed. He's like a 30-something-year-old man. He's kind of shy and like not that outgoing, and here we have Louisa, who's just talking and talking, and he definitely needs time to get adjusted to her, but they obviously do become friends, and it's a beautiful story, and I cried. And Frederick Bachman just knows how to write. Like, you will want to highlight basically every sentence of the whole book because it is magnificent. The next book I want to talk about is Happy Place by Emily Henry, which you may know or you may not. I feel like this is a book, from what I gather on the internet, is that either you love it or you hate it. I am in the boat that loves it. I have read it twice. I think it's so good. I love Emily Henry books, and the reason why people find it really annoying is because it's miscommunication, but I didn't really mind it too much, to be honest. We follow Harriet and Wynne, and they broke up. They were engaged, I believe. They were in a couple, and they're part of this friend group who every summer they go to this lake house, but they broke up like 6 months ago, but they haven't told any of their friends, so now they're just pretending to be together because they don't want to ruin the vacation that they're all on and like make it awkward for all their friends. So they just keep pretending, but you don't really know why they broke up. It's such a sad, like not necessarily sad book, but it just, Emily Henry just really knows how to write, and I really enjoyed the romance between the two. There are also flashback chapters in this story, like when they first met and how their romance sparked and everything. And then obviously it has the summer aspect of it, that they're all on a holiday in the summer. They swim in the pool, they go out, and like they go, I think, wine tasting or something. Like, it just feels very much summer while still having like more to it than just the romance. It's ruining the summer vibes that the sun is going away because there's a cloud incoming, and it actually is looking very dark out there. It might start raining, but we film. Another Emily Henry book is Beach Read, which is another one of her very popular ones that is being made into a movie. I don't know if they finished filming yet, but they have started at least. Also, I love American paperbacks. They're so much better. This is a European one. It's so stiff, and this is an American one. So much better. But anywho, in Beach Read, we follow Gus and January. They are rivals from college. They both write books. They're both authors. And January's father passes away, and he has this like beach house, something like that. And she goes there to write, but she's having trouble writing. But once January gets to this house, she realizes that her next door neighbor is Gus. And they can like see into each other's houses, and especially if they sit out on their respective porches. So that's kind of a little bit awkward, but they end up making this deal that they each have to write a story in the other one's genre, because January writes romances and Gus writes literary fiction. So each week, I believe, they each go on like, they take each other on like exhibitions to get the other one immersed in whatever story they're supposed to write in the other's genre, if that makes sense. They are such a cute couple. There's a very famous quote in this book that maybe you've seen it online, where Gus says, "Watching you sleep, I feel overwhelmed that you exist." I'll leave you with that. Okay, it's getting very dark. It was so sunny and nice when I started filming. But next book I don't own physically, but it is Broken Country. I recently read it like a few months ago, and I do feel like it fits kind of the summer vibes because it's out in the country. I think it takes place in like the 80s. It has a little bit of a mystery, so you're still like really interested, while it also has some romance, and I believe it's like potentially literary fiction. But basically we have our main character, and when she was like 17, 18 years old, she fell in love with the guy next door who is from a much more rich family than she is. And oh my god, did it just, was that lightning? It was, because now it's thundering. And now the rain started. But you know what? That is a typical Danish summer, is rain. Yeah, that's just it's rain. Okay, anywho, I'm gonna continue. So they're kind of in different classes, which his family has some issues with, especially his mother being like, "You're not good enough for my son, like you're a gold digger, you're only here for the money." And then something happens, they break up, and now in like more present tense, actually in the very, very present tense, we see that a murder has happened and someone is on trial. We don't know who is killed and we don't know who is on trial, but we follow the story about how this guy that she used to be in love with moves back into his parents' house. But our main character is already married. She has a son who unfortunately passed away in a tragic accident. Now she's being forced to like be in close proximity with this guy that she used to be in love with, while she is also struggling with this grief and with her husband. And it's just a very interesting story, and I really enjoyed both the writing and the characters, and just wanting to know what happened. I really thought, like, I was really trying to guess like who died and what happened, but I did not guess it. So yeah, I feel like it does fit like something you would read on vacation. Oh my god, it's pouring down outside right now. I think, okay, I just made my camera a little bit brighter so that it hopefully still feels like summer. I hope you cannot hear the rain because that ruins the vibes of this video. But the next book I have written down is Ready or Not by Sara. Sara in the past year has really become an author that I love. She is an auto read author. Like, I will read anything that she writes. I have read her 3 books. I believe she only has 3. Wait, she has more? Wait, I'm seeing books on the back of this. Oh my god, I only thought she had 3. Okay, I need to read more of her books then. But this one, Ready or Not, is the most like summer vibes out of the 3 that I have read from her. And even just the cover is adorable. And this exact scene does happen in the book. And as soon as I read it, I was like, oh, wait, that's the cover. It's hailing outside now. I'm gonna come back because I think you can hear it. Alright, you guys, I think I can film again. It is still raining, but the sky is a little bit more bright and it's not hailing anymore, which means it's not as loud for the video. I think I've been sitting here for maybe 10-15 minutes waiting, but I was talking about Ready or Not by Sara, so let me get on that. We follow Eve, who accidentally gets pregnant in like the first chapter or so. But what is really unique about this book is that the baby daddy is not the love interest. He is still present in the book, and you see them trying to connect because it was a one-night stand, and they're like, what are we gonna do? And like all these things. But he's not the love interest because that is someone else. So Eve has a best friend, and she's really struggling with infertility. So for Eve to get pregnant, it kind of puts a little crack in the friendship, not because either one of them has done anything wrong. It's just really hard for her best friend to be around her a little bit, because I feel like you can understand like why, because obviously it does hurt for Eve that her best friend can't be there for her, but she also understands that she just got accidentally pregnant, like an unwanted pregnancy basically, and her friend has been struggling with it for so much to get pregnant with her husband. So it's actually the best friend's brother, whose name is Shep, which is a really weird name, but he steps up and he's actually had a crush on Eve. So he like starts helping her with like everything with the baby, and just, well, she's pregnant the whole book, but you know, like stepping up, and they become closer and romantic things happen, and he's the guy on the book, and it's just really a cute story. And I just love how Cara Stone writes and makes something like really unique, because we've all read like an accidental pregnancy trope, but it's always the love interest is always the one who gets her pregnant. So I thought that was a really interesting and unique twist on a classic trope. Okay, then I have Done and Dusted, which is just a very classical cowboy romance book, I want to say. We have another Clementine, just like in The 7-Year Slip, but she gets called Emmy, and she rides horses, like she does competition and everything, but she has an accident with her horse, which makes her kind of scared of horses in general, or like riding. So she ends up getting back to her hometown where her brothers still live on their family ranch, and her brother's best friend Ryder is kind of like not an adopted kid, but he doesn't really have the best family, so he's been at their ranch all the time and it's like kind of a part of the family, and she's never really thought much of him, but he ends up kind of helping her through this anxiety that she has over her horse and like riding, which is her big love. So through that, like doing little riding lessons and stuff, slowly getting back into it, sparks starts to fly and a romance happens, and it's just like a really fun, cute read. I read it in one day because it's just short and fun, and I love a cowboy romance, and I feel like country and cowboy just gives summer to me. Like just imagine on a ranch in the summer. Okay, another book which is a little bit of like a mystery thriller is The God of the Woods, but it takes place at a summer camp, so that's why I feel like it's like perfect for summer. Maybe in like August time is the perfect time to read this book. So it takes place in August 1975, and a camper goes missing from this summer camp, but it's not any camper, it's Barbara. And actually 10 years prior, her brother, who she's never met, but she had an older brother who went missing 10 years ago from this summer camp, which their family like owns. Like they live very like close, like in the same like terrain, I believe. Like their house is like further up, like a rich family, and she really wants to join the summer camp. And one night one of the counselors noticed there's a empty bed and it's her, and now they're all looking for her. And then we get flashback chapters to 10 years ago when it was the brother who went missing, to like what happened, because he was never found. So now they're like, what is happening in this family? How has 2 of their children now gone missing? And you're just like really confused. And after I finished it, I just wanted to like read more of like that writing and world and setting. I really enjoyed it, and it does have multiple like point of views of people in the summer camp, and both from 10 years ago and now. So definitely recommend that book to read in August. Then I have A First Time Caller, which I also have in that reading vlog from last summer, I think. This was the last book I read like on the road trip home from vacation, and I had such a great time. I haven't read the second one yet, which is called And Now Back to You, because I just like haven't been in the mood to read it, but I definitely want to. It came out in February, so I've actually had a long time to read it. This book is dual point of view, and we follow Aiden and Lucy. Aiden is the host for Baltimore's romance hotline called Heartstring, and one day a young girl calls in saying that she wants dating advice for her mother Lucy, who is our other point of view. Lucy is obviously horrified that her daughter has called in to say this about her on the radio, and the clip actually ends up going viral of Lucy and Aiden talking together about like why it's hard to find love and stuff and what she's scared of. That clip goes viral. So the radio station decides we need more listeners, we need to do something with this. So they invite Lucy to come on the show like weekly to update about her dating life. So they have like different guys call in and ask her on a date, and she goes on the date and she talks about it. But obviously the romance is with Aiden, and it's so cute, and I just thought it was like such fun time to read the book. And yeah, I just really love it. Also, if you guys maybe could tell, you probably can't really, but the sky is blue again. This is what I'm telling you, this is Danish weather. It was blue sky, then it was literally hailing and pouring, and now it's blue sky again and there's no rain. The next book is The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. This one has like such a fun premise and definitely is very summer vibes because it takes place on a tropical island. But before they get to the tropical island, let me just explain a little bit of what it's about. We have Anna, who marries Liam because she needs student housing, and you can only get it at the school, or like they get family housing, so they have to get married for that. But she also believes that she has divorced him, but what she doesn't know is that she never actually divorced him, and she's been married to him for years now because Liam's trying to get his inheritance, which is $100 million that he will get if he has been married for 5 years. But I believe his sister or his brother, I think it's his sister, one of his siblings is getting married at this like tropical island, and obviously he has to bring his so-called wife that he's been telling everyone about for the past multiple years, but they've never met. So in comes Anna. He's like, actually, you know what, we are still married and I will pay you to act like my wife and go with me on this family trip for this wedding on this tropical island. And he buys her expensive clothes and jewelry and everything. He just gives her the card and buys something for you that you can wear at this vacation. And obviously a lot of like drama happens both with the family and between them, and they have to share a bed and everything on this trip, and it's just a lot of rich people drama, and I had a fun time. Such a great summer read. Then we have The Love Haters by Catherine Center. Here we follow Katie, and she's afraid that she's going to get fired from her job, which is to be a video producer. But her boss has a job for her, which is to make like a profile or like a video story about this guy named Tom Hodge, who is a Coast Guard rescue swimmer. But to get this job, Katie has to lie and tell them that she knows how to swim, which she does not. But she ends up going to Key West, which is where he lives, and now she has to make this video about him, and he's kind of grumpy, he's not really into it, and he's teaching her to swim, and she's living with his aunt, or like something that his aunt is renting out because she has like these summer houses that you can rent in this little town. And it's just like such a fun read, to be honest, like by the pool, and they're swimming, and a dog, and the drama of their job, and just yeah, it's a fun time. The next book is Summer Romance by Annabelle Monaghan? Monaghan? Wait, why do I not know her name? I don't know how to pronounce her name, but Annabelle. Here we follow Allie, and her mom passed away 2 years ago, and she's been really struggling and like with depression and everything because of that. And then her husband ends up filing for divorce, and she also has 3 kids with this guy, and she's really struggling with that. But she ends up meeting this guy one day because her dog pees on his shoe, I'm pretty sure. And then they meet again at, I think, her son's skate park, and then a romance starts going on, and she's like, it's fine, it's just a summer romance, it's just a fling, I am an adult woman, it's all good, I don't need any of this. Yeah, it's just so good, and I really enjoyed the writing, and it just felt so realistic and like real, and I really liked the characters, and they were so cute together. Then I have Bride, which I think is the only like fantasy that I have, except for like the magical realism in the 7-year slip, because I just don't really feel like a fantasy is like really the summer genre. I couldn't think of like any fantasy where I was like, this gives summer vibes. More gives like any other season than summer. But Bride is more like a supernatural story, so I feel like it could still be like a fun romance to read during the summertime, and I had a great time reading this book. We follow Misery, who is a vampire, and she ends up having to get married to the werewolf Alpha because they're making an alliance between the vampires and the werewolves So she now has to get married to him and now live in the werewolf territory. But she has her own little mission going on because her best friend, who is kind of like a sister to her, has gone missing and she thinks she can get answers in the werewolf territory. So she has her own little reasoning for going. But obviously she now is in the werewolf territory and it's really awkward for her, and she's just so funny. Like, I just imagine her voice being so monotone in everything she says, and I was laughing. Like, I love Misery. I think she is such a great character, and I could definitely picture this as a movie and like see her act out these lines. I thought it was so funny. And Lo, who is the werewolf, like, love him, love the romance that happens, and I just think paranormal romance is always fun. Okay, the next book it's a duology, but it's him, and then it's the second book is called Us by Sabrina Bowen. It is an romance and it's hockey related, but it takes place at a summer camp, which is what makes it summer. So I believe it's dual point of view when we follow Jamie and Ryan. Ryan is gay and he believes that Jamie is straight, but a few years back, I think 4 years ago, when they were 18 years old at the summer camp that they went to, they had a drunken night and some things happened, and then Ryan cut him off, like no explanation, because he's like, oh my god, I pushed his boundaries, I did all these things, and like, I'm gay, like how can I do this to my straight best friend? But Jamie is like exploring his own sexuality and he's very confused, and then they end up both like going to the summer camp again to be like coaches. So they have 6 weeks in forced proximity to figure out like what happened 4 years ago and how can we move on. And obviously there are romantic feelings going on, and I think they're so cute. And then there is a sequel to it called Us. Yeah, I love a good romance. Then we have another cowboy romance because, like I was saying, I feel like country is just summer. So this one is called Alive and Welsh. I don't feel like this is a romance series that a lot of people talk about. I don't really see it. I just randomly started reading it like a year or two ago. It's called Wells Ranch. The first book is called Alive and Wells, and in the book we follow Cecily, and she is leaving her husband who is abusive. There's a kind woman who offers her sanctuary at this cattle ranch, so that is where she ends up going. And the owner, who is one of the brothers who like owns the cattle ranch, but he's like the leader because I think he's the oldest, who is Austin. He's not very happy that she's there because she's this city girl. She doesn't know anything about being on a cattle ranch, and he's just like annoyed because he also thinks that she's beautiful. And a romance is happening between the two of them, and it's so cute. And she's obviously still struggling with all this of her abusive husband, and she should just go into something new, but feelings are getting confused. And it's just, yeah, I love this series. I think it's so good. I especially love the second one called Seeing Red. Another romance is Practice Makes Perfect by Sara Adams. Sara Adams makes perfect like closed door romances. There's not a lot of smut, so you can definitely easily read it in public by the pool because your face won't be turning red and you won't have to be nervous if anyone is looking over your shoulder because nothing promiscuous is happening. But this is actually the second book in like this little series that I'm not entirely sure what it's called, but the first one is Ren in Rome, but I just feel like this one fits the vibes more and I enjoyed this one more, so that's the one I'm going to recommend. And they are interconnected standalones. So in this book we follow Annie, and she is a florist in this little small town called Rome, in Kentucky, and she's not entirely sure about how to date, and she goes on a date who calls her unbelievably boring. So now she's like, how do I flirt? Like, how do I become more exciting and everything? So there is Will, who is back in Rome because he is actually the bodyguard of the love interest in the first book, who is a pop star. He ends up being like helping her practice how to flirt and like how to date, and we all know how that ends. Such a cute book, fun, easy, just gives the summer vibe of small towns, and yeah, love. Then I have another Emily Henry book because a lot of her books are just summer setting. We have People We Meet on Vacation, which is also a movie on Netflix. It's a Netflix original if you haven't seen it already. It's not fully accurate to the book, but like close enough, I guess. We follow Poppy and Alex. They end up sharing a car ride home from college one summer, and ever since then they've become best friends, even though they are polar opposites. But since then they end up going like on this trip every year because Poppy travels a lot because she works works as this like writer for, I think, like a travel agency or something. So she goes on like trips and explains like everything, like the hotel and like all that around her. And for 1 week every year she goes on a trip that is paid by her work, and she brings Alex with her, and they just have a great time, and they're just friends, but both of them like each other. They're just scared to ruin the friendship. Ruin the Friendship by Taylor Swift. Then we have another Catherine Center book, just like The Love Haters. We have The Bodyguard, which is the first book I read by her, and I loved it when I originally read it. In the book we have Jack, who is a famous actor, and he has like a stalker. So his agency decides that he needs a bodyguard, and this bodyguard is a woman whose name is Hannah. But Jack doesn't want to scare his family and tell them that he needs a bodyguard, so he's like, could you please act like my girlfriend? So obviously it's fake dating, and she has to pretend in front of his family. I think they live like on a ranch or something like that, so it's a big enough place, but she ends up having to like live there to pretend that she's his girlfriend, even though she's not. But then yeah, fake dating always leads to real dating. The next book I have is a YA book, which is called Alex Approximately, and I just really enjoyed this book. I read it almost in one sitting because it's just so cute and fun, and I feel like YA books are sometimes just perfect for summer because they give you all like the giddy butterfly feelings. So in this book we follow Bailey, who is a big fan of classic movies, and online she has this friend who she knows as Alex, but they don't know each other's real name. He knows her as Mink, and she knows him as Alex, and they write about classic movies. And then she finds out that she's moving to where her dad lives, and he lives in the same town that Alex does, but she's too scared to meet him and tell him that she's there, so she doesn't. But she ends up starting a new job at the local museum where this other guy, Porter, is working. Finds him really annoying, and she doesn't know what to do with it, but obviously as friendship sparks and they start becoming more, and now she's confused, like who does she choose? Like, is she gonna go with Alex? Is she gonna go with Porter? Like, what should she do? She still hasn't told Alex that she's even there. But, and this is not a spoiler, it's on the back of the book, it says choice is both simpler and more complicated than she realized because Porter is hiding a secret of his own. Porter is Alex, approximately. I had not read the back of the book when I read it, or at least not all of it, so I didn't know. I did guess it, like I had a suspicion that it was, but then I read the back after and I was like, wait, I don't know if I was supposed to guess it because it says it on the back. So then I have a little thriller, which is The Bodyguard by Frida McFadden. I read this last year and I felt like it was a little bit boring, and I was like, I already know, like it's so predictable. And then my jaw was on the floor because everything I had predicted was wrong. I was completely blown over backwards, and I had no idea apparently because I did not guess it at all. So this book, Sydney Shaw, like every single woman in New York, has terrible luck with dating. She's looking for the perfect man. He's looking for the perfect victim. The brutal murder of a young woman, the latest in a string of deaths across the coast, confounds police. The primary suspect, a mystery man who dates his victims before he kills them. Sydney should feel safe. After all, she's dating the man of her dream. But she can't shake her own suspicions that the perfect man may not be as perfect as he seems, because someone is watching her every move, and if she doesn't get to the truth, she'll be the killer's next victim. It was so good. Like, it was really, really good because I did not guess it, which is what made it really good. And yeah, Frida McFadden, she just writes really fast-paced and easy books to read. I think I read it all in one day because I just needed to know what was gonna happen. I just hit myself in the face with this book. But then I have another literary fiction, which is The Correspondence. I picked this one because while it's not like summer setting or anything, it is very, very fast-paced, which is what I feel like you want by the pool or by the beach. Like on summer vacation, you just want something that's so easy to fly through. And this whole book is told in a correspondence. So we follow Sybil, who is a woman in her 70s, and she loves corresponding with people. She loves writing letters and emails and text messages, and like anything she can put down in writing, she will do, and she will put dedicated time to sit at her desk and correspond and read all the responding letters that she has received in the recent days. And like I said, the whole book is told in correspondence, so everything is told through the letters and messages and mails that she sends and that she receives. And you follow her for like a decade, and even though you may think that that could sound boring, it does give you a whole story just told that way. It's so unique unique and so fun, and I definitely would recommend it. And I cried at the end. Like, you get emotional and you get so much more depth about the story. It has stories about child loss, it has about like grief that can be weird, about ex-partners, and about being adopted and finding your birth family, and just all these things. It has so many different like events and stuff that happens, and you understand it through the correspondence, and I think that is so unique. The last book I want to talk about is also a thriller, which is The Guest List. I read this years ago, but I thought it was really interesting, and as far as I recall, it does take place in the summer on an island, which is what makes it quite interesting. It says, each has a secret, each has a motive. Off the windswept Irish coast, guests gather for the wedding of the year. Old friends, past grudges, happy families, hidden jealousies. 13 guests, one body. One guest won't leave this wedding alive. Very, very interesting. The island settings gives the summer vibes, and then again, a thriller, like I've already said, fast-paced, easy, fun, and you just want to know what happens and get to the end of it. But those were all my 20 plus recommendations. I'm not entirely sure how many there were exact, but at least a little bit over 20. I hope you guys found some new book recommendations. Let me know if you have any summer book recommendations that I haven't mentioned that maybe I should read this summer. But thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!